Hello everyone, my name is Rit, and a lot of you were interested in learning more about exemption applications. So I've decided to make a short video of the process, and if you need more information we can schedule a Zoom meeting and then we can take it from there. So exemption applications are very useful, especially during the lockdown period, in order to get some much needed cash flow relief. To understand what an exemption is, I like to bluntly call it a legal way of non-compliance. So it's important to realize, however, that it can never be a permanent arrangement. It always has an expiry date. It's always just for a certain period of time, and it can never go longer for than what the bargaining council agreement is going to last for. So some very obvious clauses that you would maybe want exemption from during the lockdown period are the clauses dealing with the funds that are payable by employers to the bargaining council. So it's the leave, the sick pay fund and the holiday bonus pay funds. And I want to just go through the form with you. So the council has a prescribed form that you have to complete for an exemption application, and the form has been set up according to the clauses in the main agreement that deal with exemption applications. I'm going to share my screen with you so that we can work through the form together, and then I'll also send it to you if you are interested in seeing it. So there's the form. You'll see the first place that you need to complete something, or that you can complete something, is for your levy number. Your levy number is obviously the number that your company is registered under at the bargaining council. The case number is not something that you will complete, it's something that they will allocate to you. And then the first 2 pages are basically your company's information. So you'll put the company name. If you are a labor broker or a temporary employment service company, you'll complete your details there. Otherwise, you'll just put your company name in that field. You'll put your physical address there. You'll add a contact person's details there with a telephone number and email address. And you'll put the activities of the business. This is usually just transporting of goods or storing and transporting of furniture, whatever the case may be. The date of commencement of your business is typically the date that you'll find on your registration certificate, the CIPC one. The date of registration with the council you can find on the online system, the system you use for submitting your D forms, under the employer tab. And then is the business a member of a registered employers organization? This would typically be NIASA or the Road Freight Employers Association. There are quite a few others as well who aren't parties to the council, so you can say yes there and just complete their details there, or say no if you're not registered. Okay, and then here you'll put your company name again. Here the contact person's name will be again the one that will sign this form. I am an adult. There you'll put male or female. The applicant's, whatever your job title is, executive director, financial manager, whatever the case may be. And my main place of work, this will be the address again, the work address. And then you'll say the applicant is, and you'll put the company name again. Then the nature of application. Now here is where you have to start writing your little essay. So you must refer to specific clauses of the main collective agreement. And the reason must be because you are not able to operate in your full capacity, or that you can only operate partly as a direct result of COVID-19. So here you'll put, for example, this is an exemption application for, from paying over the funds as specified in clauses 19, 29, and 30 of the main agreement. And you'll state that it's for sick leave and holiday bonus and annual leave. And in the statement of material facts, the applicant must provide sufficient details or grounds why you are unable to comply with those clauses of the main agreement. And then you must also give supporting documents that show that you are not able to fully operate due to the impact of COVID-19. So here you'll refer to your first annexure. Annexures are quite important with your exemption application because they prove whatever you state in the application itself. So the statement of material facts here, I usually say something along the lines of the company does not form part of essential services. Our main client is Anglo Platinum Mines, or whatever the case may be. This client of ours has had to close during the lockdown. You can attach here a letter where they say they won't be needing your services anymore. You could maybe attach an annexure in the form of a bank statement or a sales report that shows how the income of the company has been affected directly due to this lockdown. With a lot of our clients, we've attached a few months. So in order to show that in March it was still fine, in April it dropped down to 0 or maybe 10% of what it used to be. And in May it's slowly starting to pick up, but it's still not viable to pay over all those funds. Then you'll have to give some grounds. So this is in line with clause 74 of the main collective agreement. So the first thing they want you to comment on is your past record. And you must know that the bargaining council can also comment here. So you have to be truthful. So how compliant are you with the main agreement? Are you paid up to date? Are you, have you paid all your D forms, but there's a complainant case hanging over your head? Or are you behind with your returns? You have to be very honest here, and you have to also show that if you are non-compliant, that you are in the process of becoming compliant. B is any special circumstances that exist that you would like to bring to the attention of the exemptions body. The special circumstances is basically the lockdown, unless you have something on top of that as well. But most of our applications have been directly because of the lockdown, because companies are not able to operate, either because you are part of the value chain, or because you are your clients are closed, or the borders are closed, or the harbors have been closed, whatever the case may be. That would be your special circumstances. C, this is you have to comment on whether this will set any precedent. Now, again, the council will also comment here, and under normal circumstances, it would probably set a precedent because everyone finds himself in the same situation as you are finding yourself in. But here I've been putting that it wouldn't set a precedent for the future, because this is hopefully a once in a lifetime situation where the whole world is affected by this pandemic, and you would complete this section in that sort of wording. How does the exemption application impact on the interests of the industry with regard to the following? Unfair competition. So usually there would be no unfair competition because we are all affected by this pandemic. Every single company in South Africa is facing some sort of loss because of the lockdown. So there shouldn't be any unfair competition, and you can type it like that in your application. Collective bargaining, this refers to the huge benefit companies have who function under the jurisdiction of a bargaining council. And that is that bargaining or negotiations take place at council level and not on plant level. So you would definitely state here that it shouldn't affect collective bargaining because you enjoy the benefits of negotiations taking place at bargaining council executive level. Potential for labour unrest. Now, this is a very important section, and this is usually a big concern for the bargaining council themselves, because if there is labour unrest, if labour unrest is caused directly by this application, then they wouldn't want to grant this so easily. So you have to have something, you have to be able to explain to them in this section how you have done everything in your ability for unrest to be avoided. So that includes things like communicating with the trade union, communicating with the employees, explaining the situation, getting everyone on board, making some sort of compromise. For example, if you're asking for exemption from paying over the annual leave fund or the sick fund, then you must compromise in a way where you'll say that the employees won't be out of pocket if they go on sick leave or on annual leave, that you will top it up should the council funds be insufficient. So you need to really think about this section, that you will not directly cause labour unrest by submitting this application. And then they also want you to comment on increased employment. So if they grant this application, will your levels of employment increase or will they decrease? So if they grant it, will your company be more stable? Or you could even say that it will be unaffected. And then they want you to also comment on how the application will impact the interests of employees. So the first thing they touch on is exploitation. Obviously, we have to be honest about this. Are you going to be in a position where you're exploiting your staff if this application is granted? Hopefully, the answer is no. And in the same way, job preservation. Usually our applications are directly because we want to preserve jobs. We don't want to end up having to retrench employees, and to apply for an exemption would provide a massive cash flow relief. Sound conditions of employment, how will that be affected? Hopefully your answer will be that it won't be affected. It will remain as sound as it is currently. Possible benefits. Here I always write quite a bit because the benefits must outweigh the risks. And the benefit, obviously, of applying for an exemption during the lockdown is that your company will stay in operation. So if you can get a relief of paying over benefits to the bargaining council and thereby preserve jobs, then that's obviously the main possible benefit. Health and safety. With the COVID-19 lockdown, I've commented on all my applications here that it is due to protecting health and safety, protecting the health and safety of your employees and of your workforce, that we have to open up in a scattered fashion or have fewer staff working at one time. So you can write quite a little paragraph about that. Infringement of basic rights. Hopefully you will be able to truly comment here that there will be no infringement of basic rights. And then this section is all about your finances. How does the exemption application impact on the interests of the employer with regards to the following? Financial stability. Most of our applications are basically for financial stability. You've taken a knock because of this nationwide lockdown, and if the exemption is granted, then you'll get some stability back. Impact on productivity. It shouldn't have an effect unless your staff are really already in a very low emotional state, or already in employee unrest, or in, things like that. Future relationship with the employees or employees trade union, obviously that's all amendable or fixable with good communication. If you've got a little challenging relationship with your trade union at the moment, then you must be able to honestly say that you've communicated everything to them. So in order for you to be truthful at all times when completing this application. Operational requirements, unfortunately, usually here in our applications, we say that should the application not be granted, operational requirement dismissals will have to start happening. And then the last section of this application is firstly a statement of legal issues. So here you'll have to bring up some legal issues. So if there's, for example, a case against you already because you haven't been paying your benefits over to the council, you'll have to mention it here, and you'll have to say how you intend to fix it and become compliant again. Otherwise, you could refer to previous applications that have been successful or unsuccessful in the same sort of line. Otherwise, you'll have a not applicable comment under this section. The period that the exemption is required for must also be realistic. You can't ask for 3 years, for example. It's not practicable for the exemptions committee to grant anything later or after February of each year, because that's usually when the agreements expire. So think about this logically. Think in terms of 3 months for a conservative application, or 6 months, or 9 months, and we are already in May as we speak, or as this recording is being made, so you can't really go beyond February at the moment. And then also some annexures that need to be attached is your affected employees. So you need to attach full details here, list of their names and their respective computer numbers. I usually take a download of our latest return. I dump it into Excel, and I just delete all the columns with the amounts, because all the other information is there. Your number and description of vehicles, you need to attach a list as well. And then 8.1 is a new clause. This is not in the normal application forms. This is especially for COVID-19 applications. So you need to provide a letter to confirm that you were unable to operate in your full capacity, or that you were operating on a partial basis due to the national lockdown, and that as a result, you were unable to conduct consultations with affected employees. So under normal circumstances, consultations form a huge part of an exemption application. You need to properly consult with your employees. You need to get their opinion. You need them to sign attendance registers. You need to get them to write down their opinions on what you're asking for. It's a mission to get all of that done. But under the lockdown, they've relaxed their the obligation they put on the employer to get these consultations done. So what we've been doing is to at least communicate it to the staff by means of SMS or WhatsApp, or however you can communicate with them. And then we also give them this letter as they ask under 8.1. The proof of loss of income you've referred to hopefully already in the beginning of the application, and it would also be attached as an annexure. As I've said, you can use bank statements, you can use sales reports. If your management accounts are up to date, that's also useful. Anything that shows and that proves that you've experienced a loss of income. due to the lockdown. And then under number 10, you'll list your additional documents. These are your annexures. So you'll put here annexure A, proof of loss of income. Annexure B, list of affected employees. Annexure C, names and description of vehicles. Annexure D, letter as required according to 8.1, as well as what's sent out to staff, etc. And then the last bit is just a signature, the same authorized person you mentioned on the first page, and then you date it, you sign it and date it, and you can email it together with all the annexures to exemptions at NBCRFLI. So that was sweet and short. I hope it's all clear and that I didn't just ramble through all the information too quickly for you. If you need assistance with an application, you can email me or give me a call. If you want me to do the application from start to finish, you can call me. If you just need assistance for me to check through yours, I'll do that as well. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if there's anything else that you need assistance with, inspections or incentive schemes or the main agreements, anything like that. And until then, stay safe and bye.